Good morning. Today we'll discuss Walt Whitman's poetry and the themes of his poetry. The first we'll like to discuss is democracy as a way of life. Whitman envisioned democracy not just as a political system but as a way of experiencing the world and knowing the world. In the early 19th century, people still harbored many doubts about whether the United States could survive as a country and about whether the democracy could thrive as a political system. They have many doubts in their minds. So, to allay those fears and to praise democracy, Whitman tried to be democratic in both life as well as poetry. He imagined democracy is a way of interpersonal interaction and as a way for individuals to integrate their beliefs into their everyday lives. Song of Myself notes that democracy must include all individuals equally or otherwise it will fail. In his poetry, Whitman widened the possibilities of poetic diction by including slang, colloquialisms, and regional dialects rather than employing the stiff language so often found in the 19th century verse. This also shows the democratic way of Whitman, that he used different languages, different slangs or the regional dialects so as to show his democratic ideas. Similarly, he broadened the possibilities of subject matter by describing myriad people and places. Like William Wordsworth, Whitman believed that everyday life and everyday people were fit subjects for poetry. Means he didn't want to make fake or superficial subjects for his poetry. He wanted to write about the real men. Although much of Whitman's work does not explicitly discuss politics, most of it implicitly deals with democracy, and it describes communities of people coming together and imagines many voices pouring into a unified whole. For Whitman, democracy was an idea that could and should permeate the world beyond politics, and making it itself felt in the way we think, speak, work, fight, and even make art. The other theme in Whitman's poetry is the cycle of growth and death. Whitman's poetry reflects the vitality and growth of the early United States, and during this period, that is the 19th century, America expanded at a tremendous rate and its growth and potential seemed limitless. But sectionalism and the violence of the Civil War threatened to break apart and destroy the boundless possibilities of the United States. As a way of dealing with both the population growth and the massive deaths during the Civil War, Whitman focused on the cycles of individuals. People are born, they age and reproduce, and they die. Therefore, such poems as When Lilacs Last in the Dooryard Bloomed imagine death as an integral part of life. The speaker in the poem When Lilacs Last in the Dooryard Bloomed realizes that flowers die in the winter, but they rebloom in the springtime, and he vows to mourn his fallen friends every year just as new buds are appearing. So, describing the life cycle of nature helped Whitman contextualize the severe injuries and trauma he witnessed during the Civil War and linked death to life, or the linking of death to life helped him give the deaths of so many soldiers a new meaning. The third theme that we can see or interpret in Whitman's poetry is the beauty of the individual. Throughout his poetry, Whitman praised the individual. He imagined a democratic nation as a unified whole and composed of unique but equal individuals. In the Song of Myself, we can see it opens in a triumphant paean to the individual. I celebrate myself and sing myself. These are one of the lines that we see in the Song of Myself, and elsewhere the speaker of that exuberant poem identifies himself as Whitman claims that through him the voices of many will speak in this way. Many individuals make up the individual democracy, a single entity composed of myriad parts. Every voice and every part will carry the same weight within the single democracy, and thus every voice and every individual is equally beautiful. So he gives equal importance to all the things, all the people, like in a democratic setup. Therefore, despite this pluralist view, Whitman still singled out specific individuals for praise in his poetry, particularly Abraham Lincoln. In 1865, Lincoln was assassinated, and Whitman began composing several elegies, including "O Captain, My Captain." Although all individuals were beautiful and worthy of praise, some individuals found place or merit in his poems because of their contributions to society and democracy. So we can see that Whitman shows many motifs, many things in his poetry, and in this he uses motifs of different kinds when he uses his poetry. Often the sentences are broken by clauses, commas to enhance or the effect of the words. Whitman's poetry also revels in its depictions of the human body and the body's capacity of physical contact. With physical contact comes spiritual communion, two touching bodies from one individual unit of togetherness. And this free expression of sexuality horrified some of Whitman's early readers. So Whitman was somewhat seemed to be offensive in his words, as in The Leaves of Grass we can see that Whitman's unabashed praise of the male form had led many critics to argue that he was homosexual or bisexual, but the repressive culture of the 19th century prevented him from truly expressing those feelings in his work. So we can see that Whitman's poems rely on rhythm and repetition to create a captivating quality of incantation and to enhance the beauty of the words. In our next lecture, we will start the poem and analyze the poem that is prescribed, that is Song of the Open Road. Thank you.